let's start with public participation report from the Wiltshire Council member Jane Davis. If you're available, or up for it, or James, are you going to?
James, if you could step in, I haven't prepared anything.
Okay. No, I haven't really either. But probably just best for me to introduce myself, actually. Councillor James Shepherd. I'm actually the current councillor for Ogbourne Ramsbury and have been there for the past 8 years. I have been chairman of the area board and currently chairman of CATG, and last year was chairman of the Wiltshire Council as well. So I've had the privilege of representing the council at all levels, really. Very much hope that I'm able to take over from Jane and represent the Ogbournes. That'd be, right next door. So I know the area very well. We farmed in Ogbourne. My family have lived in Ogbourne since probably about 1700. I was born in Savernake Hospital, went to local school, so I know the area pretty well. It'd be a great privilege to be able to represent you all and do my best to do so. I know it's an interesting village because of the road cutting through it and speeds of one thing and another. So I know from CATG that you've got quite a lot of work going on there. Again, we do what we can, but we're constrained by the law. We're constrained by strange pricing often when we come to deal with things which don't make a lot of sense, certainly from a business point of view. But I'm very happy to take any questions, and with any luck, I'll be able to serve you for the next 4 years.
Well, we look forward to it.
Sure.
Thank you, James.
Like I say, if there's any questions or anything you need to ask of what's actually happening at the moment, then I will do my best to answer, and I'm sure Jane will step in if she knows more than I do what's going on at the moment. I know she served you very well.
I did wonder if you wanted to have, because I live in Lockeridge and we had a survey for the 20-mile-an-hour limit and got it, and it was actually very comprehensive. It's not just a line across one road, it's a group of measuring things are put down over the course of a week, and then all the data is collected together and it comes back as quite a comprehensive report, which probably explains in part why it's expensive. Everything to do with highways is unfortunately expensive.
And the other good thing is we've thought about going through the same process in Ogbourne, and you can have any number of roads done at the same time for the same cost.
Yes, so go big. If you're going to do it, go big and have a lot of places done.
Yep.
And the criteria, and it's very important to be clear with people about this, is there has to be an average speed of 24 or less to get to 20 mile an hour. The thinking on that is, I know, counterintuitive, but it's based on the Department for Transport's research, which suggested that if speeds were already sort of 24 or around there, that people would slow down voluntarily to 20 miles an hour, because it's based on the belief that speed limit signs don't control drivers' speeds. The nature of the roads and the perceived hazard influences drivers' speed, and they won't do anything that doesn't fit in with that criteria, because it's viewed to be creating an enforcement issue.
So the key thing is, when they're doing the survey, some people think if I drive really fast, that means it shows it's dangerous and therefore we do need to have a slower speed limit. But in fact, what you need to do is persuade everybody to drive exceptionally slowly while those speed limit reviews are being done. Because like I say, it's got to be below 25 miles an hour. So if it comes out as an average of about 30, you won't be able to get your 20 mile an hour speed limit.
Do you mind if I come in on this, Sam?
No, carry on, Bob.
It's a bit out of order on the agenda, if you like, but we've actually achieved that, and we, as you say, it's counterintuitive, and we got everyone to slow down. We've achieved that less than 24 miles an hour on the high street, but not on the Marlborough Road. So we were only looking at the high street, and I suppose from my perspective, it's one straight road through the village, top to bottom, which is why I was rather hoping, as we've already done the test, I was rather hoping that we wouldn't need to, I didn't know initially that we had to do another test. I think the other question that I would have for you though, James, and I did ask Andrew before the last CATG meeting last week, is if Ogbourne Maisie and Ogbourne St George want to try and achieve the same thing, can we join together and save some of those costs?
So in other words, say
we-
that it was the same. It was the same views, but over the two villages. So you'd have the same cost divided. So you'd only do 12.5%. Because my concern, it could be the fact they might think it's two different speed limit reviews, so they've doubled the price, and therefore you wouldn't get any advantage of it. I can find out if you could do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I had in mind, I do appreciate this is a bit sneaky, as it were, but doing one application on behalf of Ogbourne Maisie and Ogbourne St George to reduce the speed limits, as the person who's coming out and doing the metro counts, really, they're doing it in one village and then just moving a few hundred yards along the road to another village, and likewise, you know, in the assessment of signs and everything else. So, if you
Jane, I'm going to talk now, Jane. I don't really want to step on your toes, really, because you are the incumbent. I'm happy to do it if you want me to, but I'd like to ask your permission, really.
Yes, of course, James. Of course, you may have permission.
Okay, in that case, what I'll do is I'll have a chat to Steve Hind, and I'll have a chat to the other various officers in highways, and see if we can manage to get one speed review over the two villages. As you say, they sort of work together. They've both been called Ogbourne as well. You might be able to get away with it. We'll see what we can do for you.
That would be really appreciated. Thank you.
I'm not going to promise, but you know, we can only do our best.
Okay, thanks.
We can come back to more detail on that as well if we want more detail. No other comments from members of the public. So agenda, receive and approve apologies for absence. We are all here. Declarations of interest. There's none.
None.
No. Minutes of the previous meeting have been circulated. I had them earlier. Is everybody happy with those?
Yes. Do you want to propose and a seconder?
Yes, please. Proposer and a seconder for those. Proposed by Bob, seconded by Rob. Chairman's messages. I never know what to say at these things. This is just to say this will be our final meeting before some of us seek election to this wonderful positions of power. Bob and Will, I understand you don't wish to seek re-election, but thank you very much for all you have done for the council over many years, far longer than I've been here. But thank you for breaking me in gently over the last couple of years. Not quite sure how I finished up here, but but here we are.
We all kept our head down, I think.
Yeah, I clearly hadn't learned the art of stepping backwards quickly enough.
Yeah.
But thank you very much, and your expertise and input shall be greatly missed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sam. I'm sure you're all in good hands.
Well, we'll see. We'll muddle through. Planning. That's all I have to say. So planning. We've seen the report. Did we see the report? 15th of, no, I've got one dated the 1st of March, not the one dated the 15th of February. Is that right, Elizabeth? Elizabeth?
Hang on. Just a minute, getting into supporting documents and sorry, I've got quite a lot here. It might be my typo error, so if it is, my apologies to you. So bear with me just a second. Let me look into that. If you carry on, I might have just not changed the date.
Replacement to where, so the first application we've got to consider is the replacement dwelling at Priest Meadow. That's the bungalow being replaced with two-storey house. I have no objections to that going ahead. Bob, you pointed out something about the
I think, yeah,
application doesn't have a.
if I were commenting, I would ask the planners to ensure that there is a plan showing that the juxtaposition between the new and old proposed building and the existing building.
Yeah, the existing. Yeah, so we want a detailed existing site plan. Basically.
Yeah.
They appear to largely overlap the old building and the new building.
Yeah, I think they do, but as I say, yeah.
And it's. I mean, I'm not an expert on the actual ins and outs of what the policy permits and everything, but it seems like a fairly detailed application that's been well thought through by someone who clearly knows how to put a planning application together. But yeah, I have no problem with it.
Can I ask a question? Is that Matthew Copleson's daughter?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I know another one. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, it's the bungalow at the end of on the right, just before you go and join the main road. Yes, so we have no objection to that, apart from the comments noted about wanting a site plan, existing site plan. Coniston felling work to trees. I have no objections to that.
No.
Anybody object? No.
No.
Clerk's report.
So I've only got a couple of things. I've contacted Will that did the fencing at the play park, and just so you know, to come out and give a quote for the area that is between the residence house and the garages that are behind where I think they cut some of the trees down.
Yeah.
So he'll be coming out for that. I think really.
If you let me know when he's coming, I can pop up and meet him.
Okay. Yeah, I think what would be nice to know is if you would like a gate there for foot access, or if you would prefer having just proper fence line.
We can't attach. I've asked the neighbour. We can't attach anything to her fence.
Okay, that's good. That's actually very good to know. Great. Yeah. Okay. As far as your audit is concerned, I'm currently trying to get as many things in line for audit. I've been in touch with our internal auditor and trying to get a date set for that. So I will come back to you and let you know when that is meant to be happening. We have the new e-signature thing, so all that will be signed off. Really, the biggest thing that is coming about are the elections. And as you've already sort of touched on a bit, people are going to need, the whole council will need to sort of put in a new application if they're wishing to go through the election process. And that opens, completed nomination packs are received between 10 and 4 p.m. on Friday, the 12th of March, and they're being received until 4 p.m. on the 8th of April. They are being received in 3 locations. Trowbridge and Chippenham and Salisbury are the 3 locations, and I can put out a link in the minutes where that is, should people in the public wish to know how to find that or the postcodes for it. But those are the 3 locations, and you must make an online appointment to bring your nomination papers in. Now, I am happy, and I will go away as the clerk and set some time aside and book an appointment. If you wish to put your nomination papers forward in a sealed pack to the chairman of the parish council, Sam Frost, and I will go more publicly about the date of that. That will be dependent on how I can book my time with Wiltshire Council, but I'm very happy to make the delivery of that pack on your behalf if you're comfortable doing so. Otherwise, you'll need to do that independently and take your pack to one of the 3 locations in person.
Have you got a question?
Elizabeth, just a quick one. I don't want to put undue pressure on you, but in light of your personal circumstance, does it actually make sense us relying on you doing that?
That's a very good point.
Could we maybe not do it? You know, we'll collate them all, and
I
then
can-
whoever's available, if they're willing and able, go and drop them off, having organised the appropriate appointment, and then.
Yeah, I think,
I think that's more appropriate. It's just one less thing for you to have to think about, to be quite frank.
and I'm very happy to do that as well. I just wanted to make it as easy for the parish as possible to make sure that, you know, what I didn't want to see is, I know I'm probably reaching here, but 25 people taking in applications to be a parish counselor, when maybe perhaps only one person could take 25 applications. I just thought that that would be more sensible. But I do appreciate that, and maybe in lieu of me, Sam, I'm not sure if that's something.
Yeah, I could, if people drop them off on me, I can take them down. That's not a problem.
I mean, if I'm not gone, I'm happy to do it. But you know, again, I do take your point, and I'm actually happy to manage by booking the time and liaising with you, Sam, to make sure that
Okay.
that
Well, yes.
work that together if you like.
Yeah, that's fine.
So,
can do
and just as a side note, the publication of notice for election was due to be put up tonight. It has been put out on your website. So the council has met the legal obligations to do that. And
Do we need to put up a hard copy on the notice board?
I would, in the COVID times, you're not required to. If you can, and it's safe to do so, please, you know, be my guest. I am happy. Normally Rob helps me and puts it up. I'm happy to do that, but if it's not required, we're okay as we are, but I'm happy to do whatever you prefer.
Rob, would you be able to put one up? You've got the key for the cabinet, haven't you? You're muted. You're on mute still.
Yeah, I've got a normal key. Anyone can buy a key to fit the cabinet. So, but yeah, yeah.
Okay. Really, in lieu of everything else that's going on, that's really all I have at the moment for Ogbourne.
Okay, thank you very much.
Could I ask a few small questions of Elizabeth? And I'm sure you know what's coming, but just to tidy up loose ends, really. The dog bins are going in. Have they been ordered, and when are they going in?
So I have contacted the company, and I finally found the contractor today on his mobile phone. I have asked him to get in touch with you, if that's okay, because obviously you've been the contact for this all the way around. So he was not in the office when I found him. He's going to contact you once he's read all of. I've confirmed that we've agreed all the funding, everything's in place. They need to go ahead, but could he contact you and sort out a date that would be okay to come out and do an installation? And so he said yes. He would go into the office. He said he's going in tomorrow, have a look, and then contact you and make sure that that is fine. If that is not okay, let me know, and I will ring him first thing in the morning and change.
No, that's fine. And if he doesn't contact me within a week, I'll chase him.
Yeah, and or just let me know, and I chase him as well, so that
Okay.
he's getting double calls, just so we can get it moving. But everything should be in place. He's quite receptive to make sure we got moving. So I've done all the paperwork underneath that for new accounts. Everything is in place for that. It's
So
just
you've made the formal order, or you've given him the formal order.
I've given him the formal initiation of accounts. So the formal order, I don't have that paperwork to hand. I've not been provided that. I don't know what that will actually take. And he said, as far as he was aware, we were waiting for confirmation, but of doing the work itself. But he also said that it was his boss that came out and met with you. So he was not 100% on top of where we were at the moment. So I know I sound like I'm talking in a circle, but the bottom line is he didn't have all the information at his fingertips. He was going back to the office, read his emails, make sure where we were. I confirmed funding's in place. Now we're just waiting to get everything else set up.
So am I in a position to proceed with him to have them installed?
Yes, you are. Yes.
Fine.
Yeah. we've minuted that. The only thing I would ask, any paperwork and things that obviously are my responsibility, please keep me in the loop. But I thought if your feet on the ground, you're meeting him, I think it's better if you guys make that sort of agreement together when you meet.
Happy to do that. The parish steward, how are we doing on that?
I've sent the form. They've got it. I'm just waiting to hear. I mean, I do have to say, from my perspective as a clerk, and in the where I clerk for, I never get feedback if they've come out and done the work I request. So I really do sort of count on you guys almost to be sort of my eyes and my ears. And if that's not gonna be the way we do it, then maybe I need to be scheduling a time. Normally, if I came out for a meeting, I might come early and have a look at things I had been asked, to put forward. But I need people to be telling me that didn't get done so I can chase it.
Can we not, or should we not appoint someone? I'm thinking of Sam, perhaps, where he relates solely to that one person and says, okay, I'm coming out next Tuesday.
So you can delegate, and I haven't put that on the agenda this evening, but you can delegate a person. And I think Nick has had some experience as well in that.
Yeah.
So, if that's something the council wish to do, then we can actually name a person that will take on that responsibility to meet directly with them. So,
Could I just perhaps say that my experience with Ogbourne is they do exactly that.
Yep.
They do what, sorry?
They do exactly that. They have one person.
Yeah.
And then that person also puts a report back into the parish because he's the one who actually makes sure that the work that's been asked to be done has been done.
So can we close the loop? Are you happy to do that, Nick?
Well, the only problem we've got with that is when all of this COVID nonsense, dare I say it, moves on, I'm back in the office 3 days a week.
In the office. So, okay.
So in an ideal world, we do need someone who is either works from home or is a resident to take that on. I mean, certainly in my previous parish, when I was a councillor, we had exactly that. So I'd be happy to do it, but I can't be guaranteed that I'd be here to meet them or verify they've done what we've agreed for them to do. That's the challenge.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sam. We can review it in May as well, and you can have more than one person as a contact. It just makes it a little bit probably more difficult. But Carrie, sorry, I just wanted to say that.
I'm happy to do that because I work from home, but I work unpredictably, and ever since COVID, very little. But even in the good old days, it was unpredictable from one week to the other. It was the nature.
Would it be appropriate then, Sam? What if you were to, or even me? I'd be happy to be the point of contact. But if there's someone that does work for him like yourself that's happy to be the point of contact, and therefore if they contact you and say they're coming on Tuesday and you've got a commitment, then we would at least be able to share it around the councillors and say, is anyone available? Is anyone going to be in on Tuesday? And then inform the individual at the time and place there will be a councillor there to meet you, and then at least manage it that way. I know that's how we did it in Berwick Bassett on the odd occasion where Tony couldn't meet the parish steward. He would delegate it to someone else, and the parish steward was happy with that, and the knowledge it had been delegated to that individual.
Yeah, no, we can work that.
Seems a sensible way to manage it.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm happy to be the sort of first point of contact, and then we can find someone ready, willing, and able if I'm not around.
And sorry, a final thing. Did anything happen on the grant for the high-speed broadband?
I was looking at the website for this just yesterday, and I think yes, it's something we need to get. It's something that I think we should get involved in.
So Sam, I did look into it, and my initial thought is that the likelihood of us getting high-speed broadband out here is very slim.
Yeah.
Now I know what's her name. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Was quite vocal about it. But I think for them to dig up our roads and pavements is very slim. I don't think it will be way down the line.
Yes.
Do you have any information on that, James?
My experience is there are still some areas which have hardly got any broadband at all.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still trying to work on some of the outlying rural areas which are really struggling with any connectivity at all. And that's one of the things I'm going to try and drive forward. The problem is they say there's 98% coverage, but we live in the 2%, and that's the problem. It's like, we live in 50% of our area hasn't got any coverage at all. So the only thing you can do probably is just apply, see what happens. I don't think you've got any. If it doesn't cost anything to do it, then I don't see any problem with trying.
I agree. I think the village broadband, certainly in my experience, is usable for most domestic purposes. It's not the fastest as compared to what some people get in big cities, but out here, as James says, given what some people have to work with, we're not doing too badly.
I think the only issue really is the fact that we've all had to work from home has really highlighted the issue that we live in areas which are not served properly. They're not fit for purpose nowadays. We need much better connectivity. So I would certainly continue pushing, and if nothing else, it raises the profile, starts asking questions.
Exactly. I think I agree. I think we apply and see what we can do, but yes, as you say, well, I don't think we're going to be top of the list.
No, I don't. And a part of me thinks cynically, maybe it's putting out some publicity just to say that they're trying to do something about it, and putting it on the onus on the end user, us, to put some legwork in if we want it. But in all reality, will it ever get done for us ahead of places that don't have any broadband today? Nah. So
what may work in our slight favour, I suppose, is that we do actually have our own exchange. We are technically an area code in ourselves. We used to be.
I think the reality, Sam, is we're likely to see 5G or 6G before we get it.
Yeah, exactly.
And some of the providers are relying on that. The likes of are looking to put in significant super fast 5G that you can then connect to from home. So the likelihood is that's the solution that will suit us and other rural areas, as James has alluded to, hopefully sooner rather than later.
It's far cheaper to install a wireless infrastructure.
I think from my point of view is the more evidence I've got of parishes who are trying to improve satisfactory service, the more evidence we've got then to go to our local MP or BT or whoever it is and say, look, this is what's going on. It's not good enough. What can you do? I think if you do nothing at all, they'll just go, oh, they're quite satisfied. And I think that's possibly some of the problem.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll have another look at the website and see what, look into applying for that and see how we go about that.
Thanks, sir.
Can I ask a question, Elizabeth, about the census? And if there's anything else we need to be doing on that, given it's round the corner?
You're on mute.
No, we're on mute, Elizabeth.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a couple of things I can say about the census. I mean, firstly, what I will say from my standpoint, it's being run very, very well. I'm actually quite impressed with the amount of information that's coming through. I have put the census information up on our website. It's been there for a while. There's a few bits and bobs that I can put onto our Facebook page. Everybody in Ogbourne, St. George, well, everybody, full stop, each household should be receiving their census information and packet through the post. I got mine, and I actually did mine today. So you can do it early. It does say Census Day is the 21st of March, but that's not necessarily when you have to do it. So if you get it, please do it early. It's quite straightforward. Other than that, I'm not sure what other particular flags might be sort of flown in the or highlighted in the sense of making things difficult, but actually it's quite straightforward. And as I said before, they are running it really, really well.
It took me 10 minutes to do it on behalf of our household last weekend.
Yeah.
Do we have any posters we should be putting up around the village?
I can provide you.
Sorry. No, Elizabeth, you go first.
I was going to say, I mean, there is a poster I that have been made available. Yes, I've done everything thus far by electronic means, but because I know we only have got a small notice board, but
I did put a census thing on the notice board a while ago, so which I took off recently, but it's been on for quite a while, like I don't know, a month or 2 months or something like that. So hopefully people know.
Yeah.
And again, it's very easy. Ours arrived today, and I did it straight away. It's slightly misleading in the fact that it's, you know, some people might think, you can't do it until March the, what is it, 21st or 20th or whatever it is, but you can get on and do it. So that's the only misleading thing. But
do we need a bigger notice board?
that is a good question.
Can we just simply add it onto the Facebook page and onto the parish council page as a reminder for people to encourage them to do it? Just do it that way virtually. I mean, most people are living in the virtual world still, aren't they?
It is on the website, and I have already put it out on Facebook once, but I can boost it again, and I can do that for up until the 21st and just remind people. So I can do both. Yeah, but I mean, it is already on it has been on our website for some time. So
sorry, that shows I haven't checked our website for some time.
It's okay.
Do we have any way of tracking how many people look at the website?
Yes. I don't
How
have
many
that
people
here.
look at it?
I knew you were going to say that. I don't have that information. I can get you the I can get that information. I don't have it readily to my fingertips, but I can actually get you the statistics for it. Yes.
But what's harder is, trying to determine how many people look at the notice board, because that is a real unknown. I think probably not very many, but the stuff is always there. So
Well, a lot of people walk past, so if we make it eye-catching.
Okay.
Can I just ask, as a
yes.
newbie, are we talking about the notice board at the entrance of the village by the little letterbox, or do we have another notice board?
No, but Natalie, by the letterbox. Yeah.
There's two notice boards there. One is the official, the smaller one is the official parish council notice board.
So the one on the right is where all the
and
parish
there's
council
a
stuff.
larger one which is for other stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
So by putting stuff there, it's officially published, like agendas and notices of meetings and elections and things. Although obviously during COVID time there is a exemption, so we don't have to do it, but Rob's very good at doing it. Item 7. Information on quotation received for play area amendments. This is the fun part of the job, ordering slides and zip lines. Has everybody seen this, and how do we want to do it, and how are we going to pay for it?
My initial thoughts is it looks quite expensive, but I don't really know what to compare it to.
I agree, it does look expensive.
I think that reflects my thoughts, really. I mean, it's basically £5,000 to £6,000 a year for 3 years, isn't it? If we wanted to go with that company, which is quite a lot of money.
What? How much was the playground installation that was done a couple of years ago? Can you remember that?
10, roughly around 10.
Okay, so this is
more
than that.
It is more than that, but the zip line is quite. I think the biggest piece of that quote is the zip line, and I think that it's because of how much infrastructure needs to be there to make it stable. So
Sorry.
My main thought was that if you in the details on those on the plans that you're showing up, it says suitable for 4 years old plus, and I thought we were trying to head for a slightly older age group than that. So would these be too small, too young for them? For what are we looking for? We're looking for 7 to 12.
I think, yes, I thought that was the kind of age range.
It's just that if you look at in detail at the plan showing the slide, for example, I think it says 4+.
Yeah, no, 3+ actually.
3+. Yeah, and I thought, well, I can't get a feel of the. I mean, if that slide is only a metre above the ground, it's not very exciting for a 12-year-old.
Yes, the tower is modified. It's using that tower but raised up a bit to put a bigger slide on it. But the slide itself is still free height. The height of the slide would be 1,500 millimeters, 1.5 meters. The zip wire is also not.
That was a meter full, wasn't it? What age group was that for?
5 + 5.
That's +5.
So,
however, if we wanted something that was for even older children, it would probably be even more expensive.
Well, I think it's important that we get the right toy playground equipment for the age group that we're really going for, even if we only have one.
Yeah.
To reduce costs.
Is there a more local company? This is an Essex-based company. I'm just wondering if there's a local company or a local, like, even carpenter who might be able to produce something, or does that not adhere with health and safety? I had a look at some of the numbers, and I mean, so Elizabeth, Sam, and myself were there when the guy came along, and to me, he looked like he had a few dollar signs in his eyes. Anyway, and I think it's quite a high quote. But yeah, they do this payment plan for payment over 3 years, and I juggled a few numbers around, and yeah, it works out at you do your first third after installment or pre-installment, and then the second after 12 months, and the third after 24 months, and it's paying 8.469% approximately a year interest, which is quite high to me. So I don't know whether it's worth trying to find another quote just to see if we're in the right ballpark.
I know that Parish has just had a whole new playground done, haven't they?
Yeah.
We should find out from.
Yeah, because so Katie Tilney, like,
yeah,
very involved in that. Yeah.
We could find out from them who they used.
Yeah, it just I don't know.
I think it was Manton, not Parish. Sorry.
Yes, you're right. Sorry, Jane.
So part funded by the town council, but I think they spent a lot of money, because I think on the area board we gave a significant sum of money. James, are you still here?
Yes, I am. I was going to talk about that one actually.
It's about 30 grand or something.
I think that was running over 30,000.
Yeah.
Because when we looked at it, we were quite surprised by the amount of money involved. And I'm not too sure. The one thing I would sort of comment about this, you have at the bottom independent post installation inspections, but also it's the ongoing costs as well involved in some of these play equipments, because of insurance. You have to have annually inspected and one thing or another. So I'm not too sure what sort of cost that might be.
We have that already with this company.
You do?
Yeah, they installed the existing playground a couple of years ago.
And what sort of life does this expect to have?
That is a question I don't know the answer to off the top of my head.
25 years.
25 years.
25, okay, because my experience with normal posts in the ground with fencing on farms is this timber very rarely lasts more than about 8, but they may have found a way of doing it better. But I would just make sure you've got it tied in, that if there is any rot, they are replaced at no extra cost.
Yeah. The where's it gone? Yeah, the previous one that which was this one replaced, had been there for that kind of, I think it was put in the early 90s. Yeah, timber warranty 20 years.
This is very interesting because you have to be very careful about that, because there is a sort of grey area where it goes into the ground, and fencing manufacturers are very good at stating that their post is good, but you can't expect it to be, you can't expect it to survive underground. So I think you have to really make sure that this one's tied down, because I would hate for it to, where it normally rots off is where the air meets the soil.
Yeah,
and that's one area where you have to really make sure that is absolutely covered.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, there's a few pages up from that, the one you're on there, Elizabeth. It's got the.
But I was going to say the one in Manton was very expensive, and I'm not too sure. They were very pleased with it, but I'm not too sure whether it was value for money. I don't know whether Jane would like to comment on it, but it was very expensive.
I get the impression that playground stuff is expensive, because it's got to be tough enough to cope with a public environment, but also I guess because they've got to cover a 20-year warranty on it, which is part of, you build that cost into it if you suddenly have to replace it all in 20 years time.
I would just say that I think playgrounds are really important, and that children have suffered a great deal during the lockdown, as we all have, but particularly for children. And I was like to think that parish councils are there to support the ambitions of their communities. And so I would be I'm pro playgrounds, that's all I'm saying. And yes, sometimes they can be expensive for all of those reasons, but I would applaud you if you do decide to go ahead with this. That's just my personal view.
Should we be looking at getting a couple of comparative quotes?
You should have 3 quotes.
Yeah, definitely.
Sam, can I just say, we started with Sovereign because they supplied us with the original with the original play area there.
Yeah.
So we started with them for consistency, and we have a contract, or had a contract at that time, for inspection.
Yeah.
But if and when the parish council decides to move forward, yes, we do need 3 quotes. We will have to do comparable tendering, and we will need to have some clarity about what we're actually looking for. If what we've been quoted for here is not meeting the expectation of what we thought, then we need to start again. And I would still use Sovereign as somebody to give a quote.
I agree.
But obviously we would need to get a couple of pieces. So if we haven't met the mark, then I can go away and start again with something different.
Yes, well, we can. I think we'll definitely need to clarify from them the sizes and what age ranges this stuff is actually for. And I mean, because it's one thing saying 5+, but obviously someone who's 12 is over 5. But is it too small for someone over 12?
Yeah.
And so the contract we have with Sovereign, is that renewed annually, the maintenance contract?
It is, yes.
Yeah, but they are also happy to, within that, they will inspect other people's products, won't they?
I believe so, but I don't quote me on that. I would need to ask that question. I can't. My involvement and my experience with Sovereign has only been with their own products, so I can't, because I don't think that they would be. What I hear you saying in that is that we would be asking them to guarantee installation
Not sorry, not the guarantee, but the for the safety inspection point of view.
Safety inspection, yes, because
Yeah.
all you have to be is ROSPA trained to do that, and they would do that for an annual inspection, but they wouldn't be able to. What we get from Sovereign is obviously if there are other things that need to be looked at, then they will replace and do certain things. But no,
Yeah.
as far as the annual inspection, yes, they would take into consideration.
Yeah.
Chairman, can I suggest the Active Toy Company, which is north of Newbury?
Yes, I've
seen,
visited them.
yeah, they're supposed to be. I've used their equipment in the past, which is very good. And it's also local, so I would suggest that's probably one you could go to.
Yeah, Active Toy Company, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, when you said
I
north, I've been there.
think there's one in Chippenham as well, so we could get 2 local ones. So I'm pretty certain I saw it on Points West actually about 6 to 10 months ago. So I'll do some digging around at the weekend.
The other thing that I think for the next meeting that the council needs to sort of consider as a way forward is, how do you want to go forward and look at inspecting the playgrounds? In my other council, one of my other councils, they have elected to have actual parish council members trained to go out and do a weekly inspection on their play area and put forward a report. And then they pay for a 1-year inspection to be done by a ROSPA trained company that comes out and does that. But during the course of the year, they are out looking, because they've had the training, any sort of repairs that need to be done, they bring in another company. It's just another model to consider. There are the pitfalls with that, and there are upsides to both. But it's just something that maybe for not this meeting, but just something that you might want to consider and think about going forward.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I'm just thinking aloud here. Then, Elizabeth, the next time you contact them, perhaps you could pick up James's point and ask them if the current playground equipment is guaranteed for 20 years below ground.
Okay.
If they say no, then we will be perhaps not reviewing or not looking at them in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, we can check that. That should be it should be in the paperwork from from when it was installed.
The other thing, sorry, Sam, I just wanted to say before you do close this out, I mean, I was hoping to, once the council has got a proper plan that they would like to take forward, we're going to be looking at some grant money and things of that nature to sort of support this. So it's not something that would be expected, in my eyes, at the moment, for the parish to financially drive forward alone.
No, I agree. I think we can put some of the money up, but if there's lots of money out there for things like this, so it's a question of finding it and grabbing it. Also, on the note of playgrounds, I would just thank Nick and Rob for their great work helping clear it over the last 2 weekends. There was, I think I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, some of the trees had been pruned, so they needed to be tidied up. So rather than get someone in to do that, we just went and did it. And it's a very satisfactory afternoon, actually.
Yeah, thank you, Sam, because I think you did a significant amount of the legwork. So
yeah, well done, Sam.
Oh, well, it was a team effort.
Well done.
Well done.
Right. Where are we? Speed limits. No.
Well, you'll be pleased.
Yes. So before we move on from the play area, we need to make sure that we need to hear from Sovereign that it's the suitable age, and we need to discuss 2 more quotes.
Good.
Right. Reports from working groups. Update on speed limit initiative. Councillor Bob Tanner.
Well, you'll be pleased to hear that I haven't got a lot to say. I mean, basically, until the parish council decide what we want to do, we really can't give an instruction to Cat G or confirm anything. So really, my own feeling is that the parish council needs an informal meeting, because we have got the speed limit, and potentially, if that can't be reduced below, say, the £7,500 to £8,000, that's a lot of money. Do we pay it, but up front? But I gather we've still got to go through Cat G, but it would probably go up to the preference level faster if we were self-funding. Or do we go through Cat G and wait, in which case it could take some considerable time? Or would we rather spend the money on the village entrance gates and just generally giving a signal to drivers, a notification, if you like, that you're entering into a village, and do it that way round, so that cars will perhaps slow down automatically because they go through a gate barrier, as it were. So, but until we make that decision, we can't really go back to Cat G.
Can I add a comment, Bob?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had a thought the other day, because I can't remember where I was driving. I was driving through another local village. Could well have been Ogbourne, actually. James might correct me. And it must have been bin day, because I noticed a lot of wheelie bins out on the road with a lot of stickers on the wheelie bins saying 20's plenty.
Yeah.
And it did make me think. I think I subconsciously slowed down, not that I was doing 30 anyway. And I think in light of what you've rightly highlighted, is ultimately it's about the timeline associated with achieving the aim, and the cost associated with that if we want to try and speed it up, but there's no guarantee. And I just wonder whether we, as you rightly say, and we've got to discuss this, that we, plan B, which is what can we do in our capacity in terms of tidying up entrances to the village, refreshing signage, that kind of thing, and maybe even putting something out there that highlights it a bit more overtly. I had a discussion with Sam about this the other day, about signposts for the school. They're too far away from the school for people to, I think, potentially acknowledge it, slow down. I think they see it and they don't see a school and they carry on. So I do agree it's something we probably need to discuss with today's meeting, and consider, what could we do with our own resources or additional resources that don't involve going down the line of seeking the 20-mile-an-hour reduction in such a manner as been presented as the only way of doing it, in essence.
Well, right at the beginning, I asked this question, and apparently we can. It's my understanding is that we can do anything as long as it's temporary arrangement. So right. Yes, if we wanted to provide 20-mile-an-hour roundels, or as you say, 20 is plenty, or something similar, we can do that because it's temporary. We can't do anything with respect to a permanent sign, i.e. a 20-mile-an-hour on the road or on a permanent steel post.
Totally.
Yeah, so anything temporary. As far as the school one is concerned, Martin Cook is the highways engineer, who was very helpful. And when I wandered through the village with him back last summer, we looked at a couple of the road signs, and he just said, "Yeah, that's crazy to have that there. That doesn't work. I'll get it moved." Now, it may well be that if we approach him on those school signs as well, if he's responsible for them, that he may say, "Yes, I agree with you," and he'll move them.
Okay.
I think I remember them going in 15 or 20 years ago, and they seemed. There's one outside my gate here, which is half a mile from the school.
Can we do 20? Can we do 20 stickers, even though we're not a 20?
That's another point I was about to ask. I think there are legal issues with putting 20 in a red circle, even if it's not on a permanent building.
I got the feeling that people do it, and because it's temporary, you can do it. That was the impression I got from a number of people. But
the bins are private property. The bins are owned by the people in the houses, so surely it's up to the person. Sorry?
Yeah, I think they're owned by Wiltshire Council, actually.
I thought I had to buy my bins.
Well, we pay for it through our council tax, don't we?
Okay, well then, there you go.
It may have been Lockridge that Nick drove through.
I think it may well have been, actually. And is Lockridge a 20 mile
because years ago I did start a 20's Plenty for Lockridge campaign, and 20's Plenty organisation, which you can just find online by going to 20's Plenty, they sell you the bin stickers, and you know, the people were very keen to get them and put them on their bins. We have never had an issue with anyone from the council complaining about stickers on our bins.
Yeah, that's it.
And they were up way before we became a 20-mile-an-hour limit, because they were part of the kind of getting support within the village and giving information to people about the benefits of slower speed and getting people to understand that to get a lower limit, you have to drive slowly.
Yeah.
Jane, can I ask a question, perhaps? Did you feel that it actually helped slow the traffic when you put those signs out?
Yes, I think it does.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've seen
not the only answer.
Sorry?
I was just going to say, I've also seen other villages who've got a big wooden sign, kind of handmade, that says, "Please think of our children when you enter the village." And if that's temporary, maybe that will be suitable and still alerts people of the fact that there is a school in the village.
You have to be very careful about putting any road highway furniture because of insurance. Because if a car crashes into it, you have all sorts of highway insurance issues. So Martin Cook is always busy telling me that you have to be very careful about putting anything on the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the highway, they mean the 3 feet or the metre next to the highway as well.
Yeah.
So I always advise parish councils not to do anything like that officially. However, people have been known to go out late in the evening and put up all sorts of interesting signs.
It wasn't us.
No, but some people do. I wouldn't do anything like that officially as a parish council, but any one of you as an individual can encourage bins on stickers on bins and things.
Sorry, I didn't hear a word you said, Jane.
Sorry. Yes. Which bit did you miss? Because I just said that I suggest to parish councils that they don't do anything officially as a parish council that's not done through Highways and Martin Cook.
Yes, absolutely.
However, if individuals go out and do something like that, then that's their own choice.
But not through the parish council, and certainly not, it has to be very unofficial.
Exactly. But as a village in Lockridge, we had scarecrow competitions, and the scarecrows were up for months. And I did a lot of work with getting bicycles and old bikes from people, and went to Waitrose and got baskets and lined them and put flowers in. And we had tubs of flowers around the place, which just give a sense of people around and about in the village.
But I think what we have to do is put out the sort of like the legal front is that you shouldn't put any furniture out on the highways because of insurance, but there are lots of other ways of getting around that, as Jane's village, Lockridge has found that out.
Yeah, well, and definitely, I mean, the bicycle the first bicycle we put out, Philip Whitehead, who's now leader of the council, he was cabinet member for Highways, and he didn't know it was mine, and he said how nice the bicycles in Lockridge looked. I was like, oh yeah, I did that.
And where were they? Just on the edge of the highway?
Well, I lent the bicycles against existing things. I had one on the edge of my driveway, and there was one that was on a signpost actually by the side of the road, and it was a speed sign, a small roundel on a speed sign, but we put it inside the speed sign.
Yeah.
It's just a different way of approaching things. There's a toolkit called Speed in Villages, which Dorset Council published.
Okay, we'll have a look.
So as you can see from the discussion tonight, there's a number of things to consider. Plus, as I say, do we want to spend the money on, or would we prefer to spend the money on the road entrance, the village entrance signs, maybe with a welcome to Ogbourne St George type of sign on them, So because we get a fair number of people walking through these days, so that it's a whole discussion before we can go back and give a direct instruction.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure when we do that. Do we wait until after 21st of June and go down the pub and have an informal chat? Or, you know, I'm not, and in a way, I'm not being daft, because it's the sort of thing you need to bash around a bit, and it's more difficult to do on Zoom, isn't it?
It's a bit of a sort of workshop approach, isn't it, Bob?
Yeah, exactly. So
we could also take, of course, the results of the Metro count to the villagers and ask people in the village what they want. You know, do they want us to spend possibly years and possibly a lot of money trying to get a 20 limit, or do we take the money and do something else with it?
Yeah, but I think
the Metro count has shown that the average speeds are pretty low through the village already.
Yeah.
I mean, I walk up and down there every day taking the kids to school, and you know, I don't feel there's a speeding problem. But some people do.
I mean, even for one person, you would know Georgie Bevan, who was a person who was really wanting the 20-mile-an-hour limit, and I spoke to her the other day and said, you know, the trouble is it's going to cost us £8,000, and her immediate reaction is, well, it's not worth it, is it? What, you know, that's crazy amount of money to spend when the speed limit is below 24 miles an hour anyway. And that's just somebody who was supporting the 20 limit.
Yeah.
So I think you're right, but my reaction is to get a feel of where we want to go and put a recommendation to the parishioners, perhaps.
Yeah, I think the effect on average speeds would be slim.
Yeah, and I think in light of the nature of the high street, as we refer to it, where people's cars are parked, that starts to create a natural barrier for people to slow down anyway. My only comment, and I don't want us to go any further, is all I noticed last summer with the harvest, the one thing that was really noticeable was the tractors and trailers coming up and down the high street far quicker than they should have, given the nature of the size of those vehicles and their speed. If a child or a dog had run out, they didn't have a cat and hell's chance, because those tractors will not stop on a dime, and they're huge. Their visibility coming through a village like that is fairly limited. So that's my comment. If there's something that we can do that is you know, within the letter of the law, that is not permanent, but that can remind people, whether that's 20's plenty, whether it's, you know, animals and feral children around, whatever it may be, that just catches people's conscience, that's the kind of thing I think we should discuss at the appropriate time, and that's potentially where we invest our money.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we will talk to the villagers and see where they are, see what we want. Belfield, Natalie. This is a fantastic report, Natalie.
Yeah, amazing.
I'm manager by trade, so I use my.
Didn't expect anything less, Natalie. I would have been disappointed otherwise.
Thanks, Nick.
So I hope we've all seen this. I'm sure we have.
Sorry, it was a few pages long, but
it covers everything. So what do we do?
So all I can add before you have a little chat is I would agree with Bob that we're definitely not in a position to approve at this point. It was just to get a few ideas out there. The next steps I'm taking is having one of my very good friends is an independent planner. So she's popping in at the weekend to have a look, because we don't know whether there'll be a need for planning application. She told me it was depending on how far the road was, how far the houses would be if we were to build a wall or some kind of permanent structure, if there's a need for a change of use for the field. So I'm happy to then, you know, send you the feedback based on this is kind of guidelines of whether we would even need planning application or not. And whether vehicle access, my big worry is, if we wanted to pair up with the school, is vehicle access a necessity for it to be used by the school, which I have a feeling probably is legally, even though they've got easy walking access from the little path at the back. but I don't believe they'd be able to hold any events without formal vehicle access, which could be an issue.
Is there a way of finding, I mean, if one owns a bit of land without access to it, is there a way of finding out from the deeds of the land or anything if we have a right of access over other people's property to get to it?
So the only road that leads to it is obviously where we live.
Yeah.
We have the right of access to this drive because we're the last house. So officially in our personal deeds,
yeah,
we have right of access, but obviously that's a personal home having right of access to this drive. It doesn't mean that, I guess, the village as a whole has a right of access.
Yeah, well, it's a private road, isn't it, Natalie? Because it's down to us as the residents to maintain it.
Exactly. So the maintenance is shared, and obviously the access is shared, but the right of access is against our property. But again, it's a private right of access. So I don't know whether James has any feedback, but obviously it doesn't mean that, you know, the public can therefore freely access if we were to kind of extend that road into the field or something.
You could argue, I guess, that what you have there is a ransom strip.
Yes.
And that, you know, you could sell that. If someone wanted to develop, if we sold the land and someone wanted to develop it, a developer would come to you and ask for access through your land permanently and buy that as a ransom strip.
That's absolutely correct, because as it's a private road, they would have to go to the existing owners for right of access over it.
Yeah.
Could you send me the or forward me the report you've done? That would be really helpful.
James, of course. Sam, would you be able to do that if you've got?
Yes, I can do that.
That's okay. I'm not quite on the email list yet, James, because I've just joined and there was an issue with my email, so I don't necessarily have the.
But if I give everybody my email at the moment, it's james.shepherd. That's SHEPPARD. SHEPPARD at wiltshire.gov.uk.
Yep.
Could try and send it to you now then.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Now, obviously, as much as I'm willing to look into the Bell Field, I'm also the closest resident to the Bell Field. So, you know, when we say we want to give, I mean, and Nick is on our same road as us, obviously, we wouldn't want to sell it to a developer and have that becoming a main road. There's obviously going to be opposition to that. So I think we need to find, if we want to use that particular space, an access that is tolerable by all the close neighbours as well. But I can
Natalie, I was interested in your point in the proposal about potentially looking to sell that bit of land and with the money buy an alternative bit of land around the village which maybe has a better access and doesn't have any of these problems.
Yeah, I've been looking a little bit around the village, and I know this is going to be possibly controversial because but there are spaces, I think. I mean, there's obviously they belong to farmers probably, or to the church or the parish, but there's obviously the field at the end of Jubbs Lane, and I know the road is being kind of constructed there. But obviously that's an ideal space. It's away from houses, it's a flat space, it's got direct access through a road. But obviously it belongs to the farmer currently, but that would be a good place. I've also thought just across from us, around the church, just the car park of the church, there is this kind of wooded area a bit in the corner there, which I'm assuming, but I don't know actually, probably does belong to the church. Whether that could be transformed.
It belongs to Andrew, I guess, does it?
Yeah, the field around the church car park and the church car park, in fact, belong to the manor.
The car park, okay. Well, that was my third thought was, could we maybe approach Andrew and see whether there is not a bit of land in the village that he might be willing to sell with access somewhere to the parish for that purpose?
Yeah, which
I'd be happy to do if you think is one way forward.
I just think it's worth exploring. I think we shouldn't I don't think it might be too problematic and too awkward to have these conversations, but I think it would be something that would be quite nice to explore.
But who would buy the land without vehicular access?
A farmer who's got the adjacent fields, maybe.
But that they'd only give you a tiny amount for that. Well,
or one of the residents who live down there.
We'd be happy. For instance, we'd be happy to buy the parish field and maybe even a little bit above the odds to make sure it doesn't get built on, and providing money for the parish council. So personally, we'd be very willing to look into that, providing that we then have the money to invest somewhere else, and there's a backup option, land somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I would like to say, I mean, going forward, I think if we're going to go down this road, I think what the council needs to be looking at is in the next meeting is adopting a working group that can go away, that is actually a named working group with that will meet and be able to bring back these particular items to the council formally. Within that working group, somebody will be named the lead in that. And with that, you'll have terms of reference of what you're trying to achieve. And so that will actually show the wider public and guide everybody about what you're trying, what your goals are and what you're looking to do.
Right.
Especially if you're going to go down the road of any kind of awkward discussion points. But it's very good. But I if you're happy, I'm very delighted to put that on for another agenda.
Yes, there were two things I was going to raise. Firstly, are we allowed to sell council assets like that? Or I don't know how we own the Belfield, or if there are any covenants on it or anything like that. I don't know if we're allowed to sell it.
Part of where you are allowed to sell it, but I would have to look at. I want to go in and look at that more deeply. I'm speaking without looking, so
okay. And obviously, also there could potentially be conflict of interest if we were finished up selling it to a councillor.
I was just about to raise the pecuniary interest, because you have to be very careful, even now at this point with things being minuted. People, making reports and having a pecuniary interest in the field next door, it is fraught with problems. So I think that really has to be handled very carefully.
Yes.
And my input to that would be that I would err on the side of slow down a little bit. I know that it takes like a lifetime to get anything done in a parish council scenario sometimes.
Only a lifetime.
If we don't do it right, then we have we'll be fraught with a whole lot more problems than if we actually just take a step back and put things into place. I didn't realize some of the other things that were wrapped around this, and forgive me if I missed something. But a working group and putting us right on a legal footing, very important.
My preference, if we can do it, would be to make use of the field where it is.
Yeah, I was going to try to recenter the discussion. The idea was to try and provide all the children, kind of young teenagers to young adults, potentially a play area, which I don't believe the village provides today. That was really the main goal of my proposal. See where and looking at different options, something very simple to something quite sophisticated, and potentially working in collaboration with the school as well to satisfy. I'm sure, I don't know, Sam, whether you had the chance to speak to the school, if there would be any interest at all on that front. But I just want to respect the discussion. The purpose is not to sell it. The purpose is to try and potentially use the field, unless we have a major access issue which prevents us from going further.
Well, unfortunately, we do have an access issue, because the only vehicular access is up the private road. There's 2 footpaths leading through it, so we have legal access to it, but obviously there's no right of a vehicle over it. I'm just looking at the aerial photo of it, and the other option would be to try and persuade the farmer of the big field up behind Lydiard's Green, to donate us a road up the edge of the field.
Build a road at the back, rather than
So then you can go up Jubbs Lane and turn left, and you'd have access to the field through that gate there.
That's Richard Iliff, isn't it?
I believe it is, yes. Yeah. I mean, you can only ask these things.
Is it worth trying to get Ollie Iliffe on the parish council very quickly?
He's been on it.
Huh?
Has Ollie been a councillor in the past?
I don't know whether Ollie has. Richard has.
Ollie.
Ollie.
Oh,
Ollie. Okay, sorry.
He's running the show now, isn't he? I think. Well, I mean, subject to his father.
Yeah.
But might be quite a good plan, maybe. Stan, we talked about it the other day, didn't we?
Yes. Yeah. There's a number of potential councillors that we could approach, but if working on the basis that we don't have vehicular access to the field, then what do we do with it, or how are these options, which of these options are possible if we don't have?
One of the things that I picked up from Natalie's report was a smaller playing area, level playing area. I don't know whether you remember, but I had a look at this about a year ago with a civil engineering friend of mine, and we were working on cut and filling for the whole area, and that's a huge exercise.
Yes,
you'd end up with about a 5 meter bank at the top and a 5 meter bank at the bottom. But it's interesting to have a smaller flatter playing area.
Yeah, I agree.
But you could just do half and half, which would reduce the amount of earth movement quite considerably. I mean, I'm going to throw a penny in the pool as well and say, would if we did that, would it be better to have the playground equipment in the Belfield rather than behind the village hall?
Well, that quite possibly.
There's just a thought, It would encourage, because I'm probably right in thinking that in the afternoon there, Natalie, that would be in the sun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty much exposed to the sun until the sun sets.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So it'd be a nice place for parents to take their children after school. And
exactly, that was my idea. A few picnic tables, so at least families can sit, and the far back of potentially the far back corner on the right to be leveled down with, as I said, basketball hoops, or whatever equipment we deem relevant. There are no direct houses behind that as well, which might be helpful for planning application purposes. The houses are on the other side of the field, closer to our property.
Really organised.
So I would be in agreement with Elizabeth to say, I think we probably need a bit of a working group. I'm happy to go and investigate planning application necessity, and then maybe we start investigating with the school, with the farmer, with Andrew maybe as well, to see whether there are opportunities there as a smaller group. Definitely, it was just to get the ball rolling and to think about opportunities.
I think also improving the footpath up there, leveling it and putting a proper surface on it would transform the utility of it.
Yeah. Can I ask at the moment?
The element that you've rightly drawn out, Natalie, regardless, is some form of level playing area.
Yeah.
And the ground is really, the malls have been there for years and years and years, and the ground has become unsafe. I walk through that field every day, but, literally your heels will come through a tunnel of the mall. So in terms of, sporting facilities and health and safety, we probably would have to do something, especially if we, as a parish, kind of advertise it as some kind of exercising facility. The ground is really, really damaged by the malls.
Really quick question, and it's related, although you'll all think it's random. Have Earthline moved on?
I was just about to say that, Nick.
They are still here for the time being.
Because obviously the biggest issue about levelling that area is moving or removing soil, etc. And I'm just thinking Earthline, the village, a little bit of support before they maybe go.
Yeah, they offered to do it in the past, apparently.
Yeah.
But have they actually moved to
Yeah, they've moved up to Rawton now.
Rawton.
I'm not sure if they've offered to do it, but it's definitely been
No.
something we discussed approaching them.
Definitely.
You're
I mean,
right,
we've-
Rachel. They haven't offered to do it.
Yeah.
But we have thought
we've-
about
we-
asking them, but
Robbie?
never
We've
did.
we've never asked them though, have we? And
No.
we've talked about this a lot, but we were very much in the mindset that until we've got a plan, we shouldn't go and bother them to ask them. We should wait till we've got a plan, and then when we've got a plan, go and ask them.
I'm sure someone has told me in the past, quite a few years ago, that they offered, but I don't know.
Well, I would
But-
also point out that that entirely unconnectedly, there is a churchgoer who has just paid to have the church lane relayed.
Ah,
I could have said, well, okay.
Chairman, can I ask a question? Is it designated as agricultural land at the moment?
The Belfield, that I also don't know.
Okay.
Obviously, if it is agricultural land, then there's a whole load of change of use.
Exactly.
How can we find that out, Sam or James?
You can find it out probably from maybe the land registry, or you might have to go to Wiltshire Council.
Yeah, I can pull the land registry for it so that you know what it's registered at the moment, if it's there. If it isn't, as James said, we do need to go to Wiltshire Council and see what they've got on file.
Yeah, thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you.
So we need to set up a. Do we need to? Or we can do this next. We need to set up a group to take this on a bit further and work things out.
Yes, I'll put it on the next agenda, and now I have an idea of what we're looking to achieve. I know what we need to be doing, so that's great. It's been a great starting point for me.
So we'll finalize that next time with a whole new council and whoever we have. Thank you, Natalie, for that amazing report, and we will. Yeah, it's brilliant. We've spent so long. We've spent so long, kind of every so often it comes up and we get confused. But to have it all written down in one place with a sensible set of options is fantastic.
There may be other options as well. That's what I wanted to say is obviously these are the options that I've kind of thought it through, thinking about what we could do and thinking about a slightly older age range for the village, given that I felt there were 2 parks or playgrounds for the younger children, but there may be loads of other options to be considered, which obviously I would be delighted to hear.
Yeah, no, this is a
Sam,
yes.
Sam, very quickly, is it worth getting a preliminary work group, like a few of us volunteering to join the work group before the elections? And
let's.
If we're not here after the elections, fine. But then just to get get the wheels in motion before waiting another 2 months, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, well let's talk about it on email and we'll do it informally and then we can.
Okay.
Elizabeth.
And as a council, you guys just need to be anything formal that comes before council at a full council meeting just needs to be formulated by a formal motion of people who have been nominated or delegated to do this information. By all means, if you're getting information collated, fine, but please understand that if there's going to be a formal report and things coming back for decision, then you need to be doing one thing before the next thing. And that means a working group that will then suggest or bring back the information to the full council to make a proper motion and make a decision on. So,
okay. Well, if before the next meeting, we have some informal discussion to work out the scope of what's required from the working group. And then we'll set that up at the next, and then and then we can move forward after the next meeting and get a formal report done after that for the following meeting. Brilliant. Finance.
I'm happy to take any questions. I did put up what has been paid out since our last meeting. If there's any questions about what we've paid, otherwise it's really to receive the information for the disbursements. I would like you to understand at the SLCC that was paid in error. We talked about this in a former meeting where it would be split out between the 3 councils that I work with, and you would have a proportion to pay. And one evening I had a moment where I just didn't do it the same way. So it was paid in error, and they have reversed that back. So just so you understand why.
That makes sense.
Sorry, just on the, I thought Alexander's sovereign pay, is that, sorry.
So
that was for the maintenance, wasn't it?
Well, no,
Yeah.
it was your annual review of the playground equipment where they come out and do your big sort of inspection.
Yeah.
But you have to make it out to Alexander's, but that essentially that is sovereign play.
Yeah.
They come out and do.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so obviously on their quote, it was going to be £480 a year for the same thing if we went ahead with the playground equipment. Just so everyone's aware of it.
No, that was for something different. That's the independent post installation inspection. That's
it's not an annual thing.
no, it's not an annual thing.
Oh, sorry. Okay, that's right.
No,
Okay.
Are you talking about what's been on what we've been quoted? You mean?
Yeah. No, that's when he was here, he said if they put in more kit, it would still be covered by the same annual inspection fee.
Yes. And there are levels to which you can actually apply for with this company. So it's gold, silver, and bronze. And it depends on what you choose and the level of inspection that you would like to have. They all fall within the requirements that you need, but they all deliver different things.
Okay.
So I'm happy with the. Do we need to approve the information, or are we just receiving it?
You're just receiving it, yeah.
Okay.
And then
Bank reconciliations. Yeah.
Reconciliation. I've done a bank reconciliation for you. There are some outstanding things that are coming up, which I put into the report. I'm happy to take any questions. Otherwise, it will go to the appropriate people for sign off. And all of this goes onto the website and is wrapped into the audit. Part of what we do each month.
That's yes, that all looks fine to me. Can I just break for a second to say, Will, I know you have to get off at 9.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, unfortunately, I do.
So this is it. Is it?
So farewell. I'm
Farewell.
sure we'll see you around the village.
Don't forget us.
No, not at all. All right.
Thank you.
Bye, Will.
Thanks a lot. See you
Bye,
soon.
Will.
Enjoy
Bye.
it.
Stop the running.
Bye, Will.
Bye.
And then there were 6. So 10 information correspondence circulars.
So I have circulated stuff regarding the election and quite a couple of things about the COVID movement, most of which I have circulated has been put on Facebook or been put onto the website. Unless you've got something for me, questions on the correspondence and stuff that I have circulated.
No, I don't think so. Anybody?
No.
No. Items of maintenance. We covered the parish steward in the clerk's report. So Nick, essentially I'll take over, be the point of contact for him with and share out any appointments that I can't make.
Sam, can I just ask if we're still looking for someone to help with the maintenance in the village?
Hey, could you go?
Oh, as in the mowing and everything.
The mowing and all of that stuff.
We have a contract at the moment with somebody whose name I've forgotten off the top of my head.
Bordens.
Bowdens, yes.
Bordens, that's it. Which I understand is up for renewal, must be quite soon. Is that right, Elizabeth?
It is, yes. It's coming up for renewal. I'm looking for a couple of other companies to give a quote. We'll need 3 again. And actually, I was going to be contacting either Andrew or somebody who has got clarity about what needs to be cut in the graveyard. Where I'm falling a little bit at a deficit is I've asked for a scope of work from the current contractor on more than one occasion, and I'm not receiving it, and I don't have it in the records that were passed on to me. So I would like to have some understanding of exactly what it is I'm trying to get somebody to quote for.
Yeah.
I don't, I just want to make sure that I'm getting the right quotes in. So it's not a problem because even if I get it wrong, I can go back and get it again. But I just wanted to try and get the right people. I don't know if Charlotte would be a good person to contact, or if
She would probably know about the church. Well, only because she sees how often they come and how long they stay.
But would she know exactly what it was that the village prior to my tenure would have wanted or required for a contract?
No, I don't. I don't know. I can ask. But essentially, they need to do the. They do the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
They do the Bell Field. Natalie, you said they come to the Bell Field every month, every couple of
They
weeks.
come once a month. They don't pick up the grass, but it gets cut, I believe, once a month, but not during the winter time. So it's only just started last week. So I think it's spring and summer.
If they came fortnightly, then they wouldn't need to pick up the grass.
True.
Whereas if they, because it does get very long there.
In the summer, there's really a lot of grass left behind. Yes.
But I guess they're, as with everything, they're limited to how big a mower they can get up the footpath. I don't know what else they do in the village.
Well, the playground area at the village hall.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, interestingly, I think this is the problem we've been having over the last year or so, in that we've actually expressed the view that we're not entirely happy with them. But what's coming out of this conversation is we don't know what they're supposed to be doing.
No.
If we can't go back to the original instruction, we don't know which areas they're supposed to be doing or when.
No, entirely. That's
so
part of the problem.
Yeah.
But what they are doing, in some places, they're not doing it terribly well.
Okay.
I heard complaints about the churchyard, it not being done properly, or they turn up, they spend 10 minutes doing it, and then go away again.
Chairman, when does this contract finish? Because it might be an opportunity for the parish to rewrite and come up with a whole new list of.
I think we're going to have to, yes.
And then you can actually send out a new list of exactly what you want to 3 different people and see what comes back.
Yeah.
That was the intention to do, is to run this contract down. I mean, I took this all the way to the director of the company that we're dealing with, and I've had nothing back. And then over the COVID time, the company has pretty much been very shut down in order to contact, except via email. And so the bottom line is I felt that my intention was to run the contract out and then to actually get 3 different quotes and find somebody else. But I need to know, because even when we went out and we were talking about getting the quote for the playground, the one thing that was brought up also on that appointment was that, well, you don't want them strumming too close to the wood. You don't want them damaging the wood at the bottom. There's a lot of caveats that are put around how you're protected as in what you're able to sort of claim for if something's damaged. So I don't know what was precisely requested, for instance, in your graveyard, and that makes a difference. And I want to make sure if we get it right.
Yeah, I agree. Presumably Wiltshire Council also has all their equivalent work done by private contractors these days. They don't have in-house maintenance teams, do they? Do you know?
We do actually have we do quite a lot of work ourselves now. We've got people who do some of the the sort of trimming on the sides of roads and hedge work. So we do actually have a couple of, I think we've probably got 3 tractors which go out and do work. We do subcontract a lot, but it is a bit of a mixture, really.
I was just wondering if we can contract the council to come and do things like this, like
no, I don't think we would do that. All the parishes I deal with all contract out to local landscape gardens, really.
Okay. Okay, well, we will, we need to, yeah, nail
I've
down a
got-
scope of
I've got
work and get the quotes.
2 people in the queue to come out and have a look. I'm just trying to get understanding of what we want. So if I can have a name of somebody, who else, if it's not Charlotte, would I contact that you're aware of?
Brian Utton, probably. He's one of
Brian
the
Atton?
Utton, U-T-T-O-N.
Okay.
He's one of the church wardens, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Great.
So he would know what they want done. Pools Meadow people pay for their own mowing down there. That's not part of Borden's, is it?
No, they pay for their own.
As part of that service charge that we've discussed in the past.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It might be worth asking them which contractor they use if they're pleased with the service.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and also from the point of view, if we get a quote from them, if they are pleased with the service, you know, they're coming to this village already, you might be able to sort of squeeze them on price.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, easier for them to do more work in the same place they're already coming to.
Yeah.
Okay. I can contact Astrid and ask her. She's the chair of the residents group there.
And if you want me to write her an email, I can too. So let me know what you want to do.
As you wish. Yes, if it's information she's prepared to share with us, of course.
Yeah.
Well, we can work out. Yes, I'll send her an email. I'm happy to do that. I'll send her an email and let you know what she's if it's a relevant contractor. Any other items of maintenance?
Just very quickly, sorry.
Yep.
It's just slightly worrying, you know, Elizabeth, you know, painstakingly trying to chase up, you know, people we have a contract with and them just not getting back to her. I just think that's pretty awful.
It's bloody poor service to start with, and we're paying a fee. So you're right, Robbie.
It's unacceptable. So
they won't be top of the list of people we
I
want
think,
to get a new
I think
contract.
like for me, there's alarm bells ringing big time already about, you know, the fact that they're not getting back to her. You know, yeah, as we know, Elizabeth's very diligent and she's trying to chase up and just having no, you know, reciprocation is just like, it's pretty rubbish. So anyway.
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, we'll bear that in mind when deciding who to give. They will presume. We should invite them to quote again because then they'll see what they. But then we've got a baseline because we know what they're paying. We know what we're paying them at the moment.
Yeah, sure.
We don't know what we're paying them for, but we know we're paying them. We know what we're paying them.
Yeah, but be good to know what we're paying them for as well one day.
Anything else?
Yes, Sam, I've got 2 points, if I may.
Yep.
So one is litter picking. Is there any way, and Elizabeth might know this, or in fact James or Jane, that we can get through Wiltshire Council sort of, you know, just, I don't know what they're referred to, litter picking sticks and the sort of hoops where you can put the bin liners in? Because I'm you know, I constantly, we're out for walks and everything like everyone, and I'm just conscious that there is quite a lot of litter on the verges on the way out of the village and on some of the footpaths, and I'm quite happy to walk along and pick it up. But and I only know this from a previous parish council where they got the kit from Wiltshire Council to go and do this kind of thing. So I want Elizabeth, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, just to quickly jump in, before the COVID hit, they have had the Great British cleanup, and certainly where I live, we being my husband and I, we hosted it for 4 years here, And yes, Wiltshire Council would provide the equipment as much as they could. They had to share it across different communities and base it on a schedule. I think the last year we did have to buy a few pieces ourselves just to keep on hand, because obviously more people were taking up the offer of doing it. So it became a little bit thin on the ground. But that being said, they will still provide you with the sacks and the equipment and everything, and the hoops and the gloves and all the protection equipment. Right now, my understanding, however, is that as far as a group litter picking equivalent or setup or model is not allowed under the COVID rules. And so that hasn't been supported since the COVID outbreak. I know locally people have approached us to borrow the equipment we keep in our attic for it. And I can't see for the life of me why, there couldn't be something individually provided, but I'm not sure that Wiltshire would do that based on the COVID rules. So I would say, I would ask probably Jane or James.
I mean, Nick, you may not know, but there is a guy called Dave. What's his surname, Sam?
Edwards.
Lives opposite the village hall, and he does that job voluntarily, because I know, and I think he's still doing it, because I provide him with the black bins, and I think he's got his own picker, as it were.
His own stick thing.
Yeah, and he does definitely goes from Matthew's house we were talking about earlier, right the way through down to the bottom of the village. Now, it'd be fair to say I haven't seen him around too much, but then I've not been around too much, so
I've definitely seen him around less recently than I used to.
I mean, I run a lot, as most people know, so I'm running up the cycle path or up and out of the village either end, and it's just really noticeable in this sort of immediate area within a quarter of a mile, half a mile of the village, and even just up your end, Sam, going up that hill up to the byway. There's quite a bit, and I was just thinking, I'm quite happy. I'm more than happy to do it once every odd week or whatever. And if we had, as a council, centralised 2 or 3 of those hand pickers and a couple of hoops, and just went out on our own. I wasn't even thinking about doing the Clean for Britain thing, which you referred to, Elizabeth, which I did on our previous parish, which again works really well when you can. And it might be something that we say, let's defer this till post the election, when we're hopefully coming out the other side of COVID, and then request a bit to see what the council would give us, post late June.
If I can intervene and say that the Wiltshire Council did have a period of time where they gave out equipment, but I think that that's ceased now. And certainly Elizabeth's right about the COVID thing. I just had a quick look on Amazon, and you can buy a pack of 4 magnetic tipped litter pickers for 16 quid. So it might be something that the parish council could just invest in. And a supply of gloves and bags.
Yeah, maybe that's something we do, Sam. We consider buying some pickers, the hoops, some bins and some gloves, and we crack on. It's probably going to cost us no more than 50, 60, 70 quid for everything that we need, the majority of which we can reuse.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've frequently warned my kids that we're going to do this in the summer and tidy up the hill.
Well, and again, you know what, between those of us that hopefully will still be on the council post-election and our kids, we could probably do the whole village in an afternoon.
Yeah.
Can I maybe propose that we consider that?
Good luck.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea. We'd definitely be up for it.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rachel.
And maybe we could also organise a little summer thing for children to do a day when, with parents, there's a Keep Britain Clean. I mean, they donate equipment as well. We can maybe organise a day to get the community involved as well and kind of run through the village. I'm sure the kids will be happy to join in as well. It'd be a fun thing to do.
Good idea.
But please definitely wait until you get the go-ahead that the COVID restrictions are definitely over.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And Sam, sorry, boring. I have one more point to raise. So I mentioned the My Wilts app last time we spoke.
Yes.
Fly tipping. And there's noticeably been actually a little bit more fly tipping recently between ourselves and Draycott Foliot. And I used it the other day, and I don't know if it's just by happen chance, but within 48 hours, the stuff that I had taken the photograph of, pinned and put through the app was cleared away.
Fantastic.
So I would encourage those of us that don't have the app get it and to spread the word and to use it. And on that note, it's apparently very good for potholes. So I'm going to use it for the top end
It
of
is.
where,
It is.
would
You're
second
absolutely
that.
right, Nick. I do all my pothole reporting on it. It's brilliant.
yeah, because the road between us and Draycott Foliot is getting worse and worse, and it's a
Yeah.
main bus route.
Yeah, especially just at the bottom of the ridgeway where it comes out.
Exactly, yeah, around there and KD tanks, it's really starting to break up, and
Yeah.
I'm just conscious. So from that point of view, I would ask people to use it, and if it means we're double, triple, or quadruple tapping the same area, no hint there, then all the better.
Yeah,
Yes.
and also for flooding issues, drainage, block drainage, anything like that, please
Yeah.
use the app.
Okay.
Can
Can
you
we put that on the website? Can we put a link to this on the website, Elizabeth?
Exactly, I was going to say, Sam, is there some way we can highlight it on the website, maybe even, dare I say it, the Facebook page?
Yep.
Just remind all our parish that there's this a really useful app out there that they can use and support the parish council on reporting issues.
Yep, that'd be brilliant.
Thanks, Sam.
Key messages. Thank you to Bob and Will for everything.
Thank you very well.
Yeah.
We shall miss you. And
Well,
your
I'm not
hours
going
spent
anywhere,
chatting.
so
Well, we'll come and get everything. Pick your brains for.
well, you'll probably need to pick my brains at some stage anyway, as to all the work that's been done on the speed limits, etc.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. So we'll take that forward.
when the pub opens, maybe.
Yeah.
And I don't normally go to pubs, so
Well, we definitely owe you a drink.
At least one, Bob, at least one.
Other key messages are we will have some informal discussions to work out the scope for a group to do the Belfield. And is that everything? That's everything.
And also probably the My Wilt app.
I beg your pardon?
The My Wiltshire
Oh
app.
yes, and the My Wilts app. That's definitely a key message. Wonderful. Good luck in the election, everybody.
You've got to download the paperwork first.
Yes. That, in fact, seriously, that is the other key message. If people who do wish to stay in this illustrious role, if you get the completed packs to me kind of by the end of next week, then I will liaise with Elizabeth and take them and get them handed in.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Just
Thanks,
a quick-
guys.